Glad you have a winter coat? Are your kids ruder than they used to be? Interested in driving underwater? Stay tuned to hear all about it on this week's episode of Nothing News. Thanks to a new study published in the Journal of Anthropological Archaeology, we now know another reason why the Neanderthals were doomed to extinction. Not only did humans give the poor guys diseases, but apparently Neanderthals never figured out how to create winter coats. The result? Well, obviously the Ice Age did them in. The study revealed that human campsites had an abundance of rabbit remains, fox, even wolverine paws. Who here knew wolverines even existed? Don't lie. Anyway, it is encouraging to know that once we have screwed up the planet enough that we enter another ice age, we'll be able to survive thanks to North Face and Dick's Sporting Goods. Toxic waste. Not a term of endearment and not a retro band name. The United States military is scratching their heads over a geophysical research study recently done in the now decommissioned Camp Century in the wonderful country of Greenland. You see, the military buried a whole bunch of gasoline, radioactive coolant, and sewage, trusting that the snow would continue to fall and that all would be well until when exactly? In comes our study, which reports in as little as 75 years, all of this toxic waste will resurface and wreak havoc on all of humanity. The study says the potential remobilization of wastes that were previously regarded as property sequestered or preserved for eternity is an instance, possibly the first, of a potentially new pathway to political dispute associated with climate change. Two problems here. Number one, the US military was pretty dumb for thinking this would be a permanent solution, and I have a feeling we're going to be seeing more of these stories pop up as time goes on. Number two, can I just point out how sure scientists were 10, 15 years ago that sea levels would be catastrophically high by the year 2020? Al Gore's inconvenient truth? Science prediction? Yeah, it's an oxymoron. So something tells me this 75 years might be a bit off. Either way, doesn't excuse burying nuclear waste. Heavy drinking may harm your lungs. Findings published in the journal Chest show that alcohol appears to disrupt the healthy balance in the lungs. Pause. What is happening? This study came out of the Loyola University of Chicago, and I would be appalled if I paid tuition there or if my tax dollars reach that research department in the slightest. Do we really need to spend money on this crap? I can use my own two eyes, #science, to determine that alcohol in heavy consumption is no good for any part of your body, and no good for anybody. This is ridiculous. New study shows that heavy drinking and driving leads to accidents, death, turmoil, and jail time. No freaking way! It's like you turn on the news! Sometimes I think scientists drink too much and need to go home. People are complaining about the Amazon Echo. The hands-free device takes commands and can perform hundreds of functions, including playing music, compiling your shopping list, unlocking your front door, and telling you knock-knock jokes. The problem? It only requires you to say the device's name, Alexa, followed by your command. So for example, Alexa, tell me the recipe for chocolate chip cookies. Why is this a problem, you ask? Because it doesn't require you to say please. It also doesn't require you to say thank you. And I repeat, what is happening? You don't like it? Build your own futuristic listening talking device that does your bidding and only responds to appropriately mannered requests and courteous language. This is ridiculous. Can we jump back a couple decades to Star Trek? They ordered their computer around all the time with no please or thank you and no complaints from their viewers.
Computer, establish a security code for access to all functions previously transferred to Bridge.
Security code intact for all specified inquiries and orders.
The Kingdom of Norway, home of the fjords, has concocted ambitious plans regarding future subaqueous travel. The kingdom intends to install the world's first floating underwater tunnels in order to help travelers easily cross the nation's many fjords. Currently, the only way to travel across the bodies of water involves taking a series of ferries, an inconvenient and time-consuming process. The submerged floating bridges would consist of large tubes suspended 100 feet underwater, and each one will be wide enough for 2 lanes of traffic. Why not a normal bridge, Zach? Well, according to Norwegian Nothing News reporters, the topography of Norway and its terrain makes them unsuited for an ordinary bridge. They're simply too wide and too deep. Well, how much does it cost? More than an undergraduate degree in the United States? Unfortunately, the answer is a resounding yes. Norway has committed a paltry $25 billion in funds to the project and is expected to reach completion by 2035. Because such a system has never been built before, and no one is exactly sure how the wind, waves, and water currents in the fjords might affect the structures, politicians have the right to select a different project to receive the funding if the project is deemed too difficult. No pressure, engineers. No pressure. That brings us to the end of this week's episode. Thanks to our videographer, editor, and producer, Vinnie Clark, and our one sponsor, Kramerica Industries. A special thanks to Debbie Zielinski as her story was selected out of many entries. I'm your host, Zach Ford, and this is Nothing News, reporting on everything you don't care about. Hey guys, thanks for watching this episode. Feel free to check out our Facebook, Twitter, and WordPress pages. Links are in the description. Feel free to subscribe, like, comment, and share.